Welcome back to Be Rich, and my good friend Anish Gupta is here after a long time. And we wanted to discuss this global crisis that is going on. The crisis is very simple. What is happening is America's inflation extremely high, and so has started to increase rates. This means America, being the center of the world finance, is bringing back its money from peripheries. The US dollar, the reserve currency, is fleeing markets, emerging markets, and making its way back to the US. Even countries like Japan and China are not exempt. Their money is also flowing back into the US. The mighty US dollar is continuously up and is more than $100 on its dollar index is beyond 100. This has meant that nations which are vulnerable, more than 107, which have external debt marked in dollars, their sovereign debt, are paying a heavy price because there is relentless selling pressure on these debt, and there is pressure on the local currency. Also, because of COVID, export earnings have dried up, dollar reserves have dried up, and these countries are at risk. Countries like China and Japan have got export earnings, they have got surpluses, they are holding on to dollars, allowing their currency to depreciate. India is a special case by itself. It does not have a dollar denominated debt, which is sovereign guaranteed, but its corporates have a lot of debt abroad. Also, a lot of equity investments have come in dollars. So, the dollar reserves of India is basically on asset sales. So, money can go out from the equity markets, money can go out from the debt markets, putting pressure on the rupee. The RBI, very strangely, has decided to defend the rupee, has sold $50 billion. The Chinese yuan is down, the Japanese yen is down, but there is no threat to their economy. Today, in a surprise move, the Chinese central bank decided to cut rates by 0.15%. This reflects an opposite trend to the US on monetary policies. This means China is telling the market, please sell the yuan, move the money to dollars. This will mean a weaker yuan. So, a weaker yuan, a weaker yen, and a strong and mighty dollar. Oil prices are extremely high, and the EU is very close to banning oil from Russia. Russian oil is available very cheap. Refiners like Reliance are buying it up, making high refining margins, while there is also a global shortage of wheat. Wheat prices are up 40% from before the war. They went up 6% when India announced a ban. So there is a problem of wheat and rising food prices. There is a problem of high crude prices, and there's a problem of sovereign debt and lack of US dollars. Which countries are affected? What is the future of globalization? With Canada yesterday saying they will not allow Huawei to run a 5G operation, and they, by step, everything that Huawei has put up in Canada has to be vacated by 2027. This is, like my brother pointed out in my sister channel, is because Chinese drones were compromised during the war with the Russians. So nobody trusts the Chinese equipment. What is happening and what is his reading of the situation? We will ask Anish. Anish, what do you think?
Like the many countries, many developing poor countries which have lot of debt, which is in not in their own currency, are finding it difficult to service. So you are seeing many countries blow up, and this is not the end. This is the start of the blow up which is happening across the globe. And US has to increase rates and has no other option because of the high fiscal and monetary stimulus given during the COVID pandemic. So it is affecting all the, even the South American countries, the Latin America, African countries, and the Southeast Asian countries. Turkey is been losing steam from last 2-3 years. Sri Lanka, which has just defaulted on its bond. So, what do you think? Whether the Sri Lankan bond would be a great investment?
No, I don't think it would be a great investment because Sri Lanka needs money like yesterday. And I don't think its main tourism came from Russia and Ukraine. So I want to see some tourists in Russia, in Sri Lanka first. For tourists to come there, they need electricity. For electricity, they need fuel. For fuel, they need dollars. For dollars, they need IMF. To go to IMF, they need a proper stable government. They don't have a proper stable government. So Chandrika Kumaratunga, the former president, gave an interview. And she said in that the former presidential palace does not have power for 13 hours a day. It's now come down to 6 hours a day. So how will a tourist land up in Sri Lanka to have a good time?
So even the Sri Lankan Airlines is about to be sold. They are planning to sell the. They bought it from Emirates, and now the Sri Lankan Airlines is also on the block to sell.
No, everything has to be sold. In fact, this is a great chance for India, and India has missed it completely. And India should have put more money into Sri Lanka. They could have taken up more control. Sri Lanka desperately needs 15 to 20 billion dollars. If somebody is willing to give 15 to 20 billion dollars, they will get Sri Lanka.
But on one side, we are facing such crisis. But today, you see, China has reduced lending rates. The Chinese Reserve Bank is reduced lending rates on its 5-year interest rate thing by 15 basis points.
It is expected because China has slowed down. China has slowed down because of the zero COVID policy. So the communist thinks that the market will obey him. So they think by cutting rates, they will boost their economy. They are trying a desperate bid to boost the slowing Chinese economy. But as long as you have a zero COVID policy, you think COVID is some enemy which cannot coexist with you. But the scientific concurrence is that COVID will be another virus which will be there all the time. You have to take a flu shot for COVID regularly. But these people believe that the Chinese vaccine has failed. They believe that they can wipe out COVID from the face of the earth. That's not going to happen. So they have to loosen the economy. They have to open up Shanghai. They have closed down Shanghai for 6 weeks. But for a dictator, it's a huge loss of face. So, and it is in the non availability of Chinese products like Tesla. One guy who's in the supply line of Tesla had a COVID outbreak. His factory is shut. So the entire production of Tesla is shut because of that. So America depends a lot on China for a lot of its products. Those products don't come. US inflation is going to be high. So this is a real troubled time. We don't know what is happening. You don't know when this will end. You don't know when this war will end. And this war is getting worse. So it's not like you kiss up and make up with Russia tomorrow. Sweden and Finland have now joined the NATO. At least have applied to join the NATO, and America has welcomed them with open arms. It's only Erdogan, who is a friend of Putin, who's blocking it. But it will be pushed through. So the whole world is polarizing on two sides. And we as a country in India are trying to be on both sides. You have to be on one side of the fence, very difficult.
So, would you say in the next decade we are not in for a loose monetary policy and a tight, higher interest rate regime?
I think when I read Sidney Porter's book on interest rates, once in 20-25 years, the turn of the interest rate cycles move in long term, about 15-20 years, with intimately bear and bull market. I think the fundamentals have changed in the developed market, and the era of loose monetary policy seems to be over. Very early to say, but looks like America has to do much more than 3.5% to bring back inflation under control. So, if electorally Joe Biden pays a heavy price for loose monetary policy, you can see the next 2 years a very tight monetary policy.
So that means then all people holding financial assets globally will be losers.
People holding tradable assets and who think who will have to market will be losers. People who have put in money for the long term will be winners.
So when interest rates rises,
Mm.
corporate earnings will come down. So
That is all in the West. So in India now the inflation is at 15%. Let's forget this charade of 8% and all that. Your interest rates has to go up 2-3%. If my interest rate goes up 2-3%,
if inflation is 15%, as per the policy, we have to be at positive real rates.
no, so he won't increase so much. He doesn't have the spine. But 4.9 will easily become 7.5. And even if there's a 1.5% premium on the treasury yield, bond yield, India is looking at 9%. That means this year's budget is out of the window. Why? Because you're paying 9 instead of 6. You assumed an oil price of 75. It's 115. Fertilizer subsidy is out of the window, is going out of it. Food subsidy will be very costly. And so is implicit subsidy on diesel and petrol because you have not At this price, we should have increased prices 20 rupees more. By not increasing prices, you are hoping that the market will correct and you can become profitable. When the results come for the April, May, June quarter, you will see that all the OMCs have made a big loss.
So we are seeing all countries which were the BRICS nation, which were supposed to be the next leading
Yeah,
the
BRICS is history. So anybody who is a part of new agreement suffers. See the funds. There was Facebook,
Apple,
Alphabet, Apple,
Netflix, Google.
Netflix, Google. Netflix is down 60% from the peak. None of the all these stocks have been punished. Tesla has been punished. So the era of loose and good money is over. Moyoshi San is in serious trouble. Jack Ma bought back whatever he invested in Paytm, valuing the company at 3 billion. He has taken money back at 100 crore valuation. Look at the cryptocurrencies. The whole thing is under severe pressure. Until inflation comes to below 2%, if America tightens, then we are in for a very long cycle. I looked at Jim Roach yesterday. He was saying that assume it's 5% at the end of the year, and which is the best case scenario. Interest rates, if he increases 50% from every time from he's meeting 5 times before March. So of the year end December, that means you will have 2.5% already up over 1.65 or 2.7 now. You are going to have a federal treasury yield at something like 6.5%. Unheard of. And this is going to cause a lot of pain. Already in India, Vedantu threw out people, White Hat Junior threw out people, and yesterday you heard Carvala.com throwing people. So all this is going to have major impact across the globe.
People should have dollars in their hand then.
Yes, people should have dollars in hand. Like Mr. Buffett says, that's oxygen. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Be Rich. I hope you enjoyed this small conversation I had with my good friend Anish Gupta. If you like the video, hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell notification. If you do not turn on the bell notification, you will not be notified every time we put out a video. If you did like the content, kindly consider sharing with your friends and relatives. Once again, I thank you for your support for Be Rich. I have written 2 books in English, The Alchemy of Money and Ordinary Stocks, Extraordinary Profits. These books are published by us and are ready. If you want to procure a copy, send us a message to the WhatsApp number given below and my team would respond to you. If you want an Amazon Kindle copy, you can click the link below. Finally, those who wish to consult with me can send a mail to berichenglish@gmail.com. Once again, I thank you for your support. If you like this video, press the subscribe button of my channel, hit the like button and turn on the bell notification.